Sahanau punaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the last topic, we did about how thoughtlessness and deep sleep are not the same. In the state of thoughtlessness, which means self-realization, there are no thoughts. In the state of deep sleep, there are no thoughts too, but the difference is that the thoughts are there but unmanifest. In self-realization, there are no vasanas. But when you are in deep sleep, the vasanas are very much there. In fact, deep sleep is the state of unmanifest vasanas. Okay, is that concept clear? So now, excuse me. Let's do the summary. In fact, that is really more or less the end of the book. And so, we have wound our way from the ignorance of unfounded beliefs to thoughtlessness, the knowledge of the ultimate reality. The state of complete silence and complete knowledge, the goal of human existence. So if you remember our journey, we started in chapter 1 from how we have unfounded beliefs. We have all sorts of views and opinions for which there is no basis whatsoever. And then we learned to train ourselves to have some basis. And we used the 4 pramanas from Indian epistemology to be able to find some basis, some reason why we think whatever we think. We could take our thoughts, find out where these thoughts have come from, why do I think so, and find out, is it a valid source of learning or not? There are 4 valid sources of knowing something. I hope you know them by now. The first one is
Perception.
Pratyaksha.
very good, pratyaksha. Second one,
Anumana.
Inference.
anumana, inference. Third one,
Comparison.
comparison, upaman. And the fourth one was
Authority.
agami, authority. So 4 valid sources. Now, if you have got this view, whatever you have, whatever thought you have, through one of these 4 sources, then at least you have got it based on something. Now comes to test whether you got it correctly from that. And we did the tests of the various types. Then we saw the influence of 3 things on our thoughts: of experience, of virtue, and finally the big one, which was
Our nature.
our nature, how our nature makes us think things. And then finally, in the 9th chapter, in the penultimate chapter, we studied about what is knowledge. And we discovered that knowledge is actually changing our nature in some way. The very vasanas have to change. And this happens by the process of
Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana.
but mainly through the process of
Reflection.
Reflection.
Manana.
very good. So glad everybody knows the book. Fantastic. And then we come to what is finally knowledge, is when the vasanas are at 0. Nididhyasana brings us to that state. Nididhyasana is really meditation. It brings us to 0 vasanas. Now, we see the world through the coloration of our vasanas. When the vasanas itself is not there, what do you see? Who is the you to see? There is only the ultimate reality left. Ultimate silence, ultimate reality, ultimate knowledge. It is the ultimate knowledge because finally you know what really is without any filtration of your own desires. At the moment, whatever we get it through the filtration of our desires. So all desires, no filters. Then what is will be known. That is the state of thoughtlessness or desirelessness, which is what we have done in the 10th chapter. So basically, we have covered the entire panorama of knowledge, which is an amazing thing, right? The entire panorama, from what may be called wrong knowledge to what may be called right knowledge to what may be called complete knowledge. So let us do a summary of this chapter. Summary. Absolute knowledge cannot be contained in thought. Remember why? Because thought by definition is finite and absolute knowledge is infinite. Absolute knowledge is thoughtlessness. We get absolute knowledge only if all thoughts are removed, because you've removed the finite container. It's like you knew the ocean only from a little bucket. Once that bucket is no more, okay, so then you know there is no bucket, then you can, now the ocean is one. There's nothing dividing out that water in the bucket from outside. Deep sleep is only apparent thoughtlessness. Why is that? Because the thoughts are merely in the unmanifest state. The eradication of thoughts is done by having higher thoughts. The three yogas, karma, bhakti, and jnana, followed by meditation, lead to ultimate knowledge. So you get higher and higher thoughts until you reach thoughtlessness. The transcendental is denied because of the misunderstanding of its attributes of all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-good. You remember this portion, right? Many atheists say that, I mean, we can't do all their arguments, but we've done one, which was that this concept cannot exist. Why can't it exist? Because there is evil in the world. So an all-knowing God, all-powerful God, and all-good God cannot have evil happening in this world. If he's all good, he doesn't want bad things to happen to good people. If he's all-knowing, then he knows what to do about it so that bad things don't happen to good people. And if he's all-powerful, then it must be that he has the power to make sure that doesn't happen. So if he's all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-good, then it must follow that there is no evil in this world, but there is evil in this world. So therefore, God is not all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-good. And if he's not all these three, then he's not God. So God doesn't exist. Their reasoning is clear, right? So why are they making a mistake? Because they don't understand what these three terms mean. What they mean, we have already studied. Komal, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I'll say I'm sorry that I have not studied the full book properly. In between, I missed a few things. But in this line where you are saying that after Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga, meditation is there. Meditation means the practice of meditation, or what type of meditation, or it's open eye meditation. I would want some clarity on meditation. What does it mean?
Meditation is defined as single pointed thought under the governance of the intellect. So the mind has got one thought. It can be Om, it can be Om Namah Shivaya, it can be Allah.
It should be with eyes closed, necessarily.
Of course. You cannot say open-eyed meditation is not considered here. If you want to reach thoughtlessness, you will have to put in the effort of meditation itself. Now, doing it prematurely is pointless, of course. But assuming you're at this stage where all desires are gone and only the desire for self-realization exists, then meditation is the method by which you remove that last desire. At the moment, we are creating the desire. So meditation is no point for us.
So finally, that desire also goes.
Yes, of course.
So that is thoughtlessness.
But goes means we can also lose the desire. Halfway through in the journey, we also forget about realization. It's not like that. It means you become an enlightened soul.
So
otherwise, so many people
meditation is, I was thinking meditation is the primary step. But here it is coming, meditation is the last step.
Of course, meditation is the last step. Because it depends on how you're defining, right? What do you mean by meditation? If you first define it, when you're saying meditation is the first step or meditation is the last step, you say, what is that meditation? We are defining it. Single pointed thought under the supervision of the intellect. That's the definition that we are using. I mean, people can use it differently. Like some people say, I'm meditating on whether to get married or not. Okay, so they use it in their way.
Like what I learned in the beginning is, like when we sit for meditation, it's called samadhi meditation as such, non-doing meditation. You are just sitting and thoughts come and go. Thoughts come and go. You are not paying attention. You're not flowing with the thoughts. You come back with the mantra, stay there only, and thoughts come and go, come and go. For me, I've learned that meditation. But on one word pointing, that maybe I'm not much aware of how to do it. practice of it. Okay,
Anyway,
fine.
it's irrelevant to us at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
It's just
Yeah.
theoretically we have to understand.
Yeah, yeah. Getting clear. The point is getting clear. Thank you.
Right? So that ends our chapter on thoughtlessness. Now, there are, as you all know, exercises for reflection. So please go ahead and do them. We won't do them in class as we haven't been doing them, right? So you do it on your own because it's meant for reflection. Now, any questions so far, or shall we proceed? The book is actually over, and now we have a small epilogue.
There's one more thing I want to clear regarding meditation only. Like when we are in doing our work, karma yoga or whatever, if we are doing something. So there, if we are doing it in meditative state, like we are just doing it and not, that is also a type of meditation, karma yoga. If we are doing it in yoga, meditation means sitting with eyes closed. How many times? Like this type of meditation, what we are understanding here, single pointed attention on one word, then we have to sit for that. So what time, how many times, is there any criteria or rules for that?
No, you become meditative. It's not like you decide I will start meditating from tomorrow. It is you are experiencing internal silence. There's no reaction to
So no need to sit with eyes closed and
it.
single.
When you are in that mental state, means not in that mental state like for 2 minutes today and tomorrow we are getting excited about something, not like that. When the mind is not going anywhere because there are no places for it to go, it's just quietude as far as you're concerned.
So that is open eye meditation only, no? If
Yeah.
your mind is quiet, you're just working around, doing whatever is required, you're doing, and you're still. So that is meditation. Open eye, no?
Go step by step forward.
Okay.
When you are in the mental state of silence generally, you are an extremely efficient person. You are a fully loving person. You are a very clear thinker. You have all these ways, you're very self-sufficient. You have so many criteria which you have met. Then your mind will automatically take to meditation because it can. Right? When you are in this state, when you have achieved this much, then your sadhana becomes, not that you're stopping karma bhakti jnana completely, but your sadhana becomes sitting in the state of meditation. This is your sadhana. So in the morning at 4 o'clock, this is what you're doing. Earlier in the morning at 4 o'clock, what should you be doing?
Studying, clarifying questions,
No,
understanding.
yeah.
That when that happens, then you have to just sit with eyes.
When that happens means when your mind becomes calm.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, I studied now for 3 years and I'm ready for meditation.
No. Understood that. Till it is clear.
So the mind has reached a certain stage.
Okay.
And then you sit down in meditation and remove that final desire for self-realization. That is meditation.
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go to epilogue.
Janki, it is not very clear when you, in the last summary statement, transcendental is denied because of the misunderstanding. So these two words, denied and misunderstanding, to me the logic was clear, but I want to understand the word denial and misunderstanding in the context of this statement.
This is about the atheists. The atheists deny God, deny the existence of God because they misunderstand these three terms.
Okay, and because then their logic then is that there is no evil, then they say there is evil and therefore there is no God.
There is no evil, there is evil.
Sorry, meaning These three statements mean there should not be any evil. There is evil, and that is why the atheists deny.
That's
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Pravesh. Introspection is meditation. No. Introspection is something we have to do now. Always we have to define our terms. Because what do these terms mean? This is the first and most important thing we need to understand. Whenever we use any language, we must know what we are saying, right in the beginning. Actually, we should have just done this book again, so that when you do this, all those who've done it, please go back and read it. Remember what we had spoken of then, Pravesh. I think you were not there when we were doing it. Is whenever you start discussing something, you must know what every word you're using means to you, okay, and to the person you're discussing with. So the first step of philosophy, what happened? It disappeared from your. Are you there? I'm not there. Okay. The first step is always to ask ourselves, is introspection meditation? So let's find out what is meditation. What is meditation?
Single
Single
point
point.
focus.
Finish the definition.
We have to focus on single point. It could be anything. Mind will not go here and there.
The definition is single pointed thought under the supervision of the intellect. Okay, so meditation contains two aspects. One, there should be only one thought. And two, it must be under the supervision of the intellect. If it is more than one thought under the supervision of the intellect, so that means you've met one criteria. It's under the supervision of the intellect, but the thoughts are many. Then what will this be called?
Concentration.
Very good. Bharat, you saying the Ved bot on the website helps understanding these definitions better. Better than what is a question, Bharat?
Better than our present understanding.
Okay, fine. All right. So, yes, please, everybody, go and refer also to the Ved bot because it answers questions. I hope it does it well. Whenever you find it is not doing it well, please report it back so we can re-educate the Ved bot. Right? So, Pravesh, meditation has two things. Number one,
Focusing on one point under the supervision of intellect.
that's one, single thought, and two is under the supervision of the intellect. Two things have to happen before we can call it meditation. If any one of them happens, right? So let's say we have single thought, but it is not under the supervision of the intellect. This is known as
Trance.
trance. Very good. Have you seen trance? People go to temples and all, and then they go, they've gone to trance. They've got single thought. They've thought of God, only thought maybe. And then they start going all woozy. Right? So it is single thought, but it is not under the supervision of the intellect. So it's trance. It is like a, what should I say? I can't call it a mental ailment, but it is an impediment in your spiritual journey. You go into trance. So if you have single thought, somebody said something?
Janki ji, emotional indulgence. Right, no?
Yes, okay, we'll come to that. So let's just do what happens. For step one, you have one thought, but it's not under supervision of the intellect. This is called
Trance.
trance. You have many thoughts, but under the supervision of the intellect. This is called
Concentration.
concentration. Now, suppose you have many thoughts, but not under the intellect, not under the supervision of the intellect. What is that?
Normal life.
Would it be mind?
Yeah, this is called involvement. That means your mind is going on.
Generally, we are in this state.
That's what Raj feels, yes. So there are various ways your mind and intellect can play. But when there is one thought under the supervision of the intellect, then that becomes meditation. Many thoughts under the supervision of the intellect becomes concentration. Many thoughts and no supervision of the intellect becomes involvement, mental involvement. Okay, so like it can happen even in class. You're listening to everything, but you're so involved at the end of the class, you no longer know what happened. So you got involved. Or you can be in class, you're listening to everything, you are interested, but you know what happened. That means you're concentrating. All right. So two aspects are involved. So what is meditation? Meditation is single pointed thought under the supervision of the intellect. Now, what is introspection? Since it's your question, now you must tell us what you mean by the word introspection.
Introspection, as per my knowledge, it is just to identify the things that is means actually not correct within you, and you have to make it more more clear, or you want to make yourself more correct person. In that case, you have to introspect what is wrong in within ourselves.
Okay, so given your definition, this is your definition, which is fine. Everybody can have whatever they mean. So this is what you mean by introspection. Is this meditation?
What I thought
No, is
to
meditation, yes or no?
no, I think no, as per the definition.
Simple. Life is very simple in Vedanta.
But when we are not able to means to reach the stage of meditation, I think we have to gather first knowledge, and then
We will go to some other point. How to reach meditation? We are not going. Your question is introspection meditation? And you have answered it.
but most of the people won't able to introspect.
Won't
This is
be,
also
won't be able to introspect.
yes, ma'am.
So मैं क्या करूं?
So
What else?
how we will means able to come to that stage of introspection? This is
Of
also
introspection.
yes.
Acha, but Pravesh, you know that is not our topic currently, right?
Okay.
We're not discussing how to reach introspection. We are just discussing what is meditation.
Mind is wandering here and there, nothing else.
Okay, Milind, it's all right. Let us all control our own minds. Okay, got it. We are doing meditation. People cannot do meditation. That is a fact. They cannot even do introspection. That is another fact.
Okay.
We are not solving people's problems. We are just saying what is. What is this is meditation. Introspection, according to you, is looking within and finding what are the problems with. Okay, people do neither. ठीक है, तो हम क्या करें? Okay.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
can decide what we want to do.
Okay.
All right, epilogue. Epilogue, the final dot. The final dot means, you know how in English we say you must dot your I's and cross your T's, right? So you must finish the job. Now you've read the book, but have you finished the job? So let's see how we finish the job. The final dot, action. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. What a fantastic line by Herbert Spencer. People just don't seem to get this idea. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. My dear friend, clear your mind of Kant. Samuel Johnson. The belief that I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. Who says you can't do it? You decided that you can't do it, or you decide that you can do it. Either way, you're right, isn't it? Carpe diem, seize the day. Horace, Odes, Book 1. Now you studied the book. Now what? What next? Now all that remains to do is dot the I's and cross the T's. The art of action is not part of the topic of this book, but the book would be incomplete without referencing the next step. That is why it's not the next chapter, it's an epilogue, it's an afterword, because we're just referencing the next step. Action is the tip of the iceberg. When a player wins in the Wimbledon finals, what one sees is only a very small part of his work. A lifetime of dedication has gone into it. Can you imagine he's won, okay? He's holding that cup in his hands. How long does that take to hit that final shot or even to play the match? Just a few hours. Then the last shot, just a minute or so. But that's the smallest part of what he has done. A lifetime of dedication has gone into it. From his early years, he has begun playing tennis and being so disciplined about it, and actually defocusing from everything and only doing tennis. And then that last minute comes. A lifetime of dedication has gone into it. Without all that, there is no way he would have won the match. The important part is thus what has gone before the victory. But yet, if he had done all of that and not actually played the finals, he would not have won the coveted trophy. Imagine, suppose he did all that, but on the night previous to Wimbledon, he was so excited that he went out with his friends to the pub, got drunk, and couldn't get up in the morning. All of that would be lost. If he had done all of that and not actually played the finals, he wouldn't have won the game. Thus, 99% of an action is what lies behind it. Yet that 1%, the action, is crucial because without it, the 99% becomes futile. Sometimes people are so close, but they give up. The better the preparation, the better the result. Like taking a printout. The computer was made, the software installed, the data entry was completed. Then we hit the enter key and the printout appears. The enter key signifies less than 1% of the work. Yet, if it was not done, there would be no hard copy. Action in our lives is like that. To get to know what is the right action needs all the work implied by this book. So what is the role of this book? To help us choose the right action, to know what is the right action. Thought has to be applied, discrimination sharpened, and decisions reached. But still, one part remains. If execution of the action is not done, all will prove futile. All knowledge, all thought fails if it fails to convert to action. Much theorizing and no action denote no results. Such are merely intellectual centipedes. Action is the fulcrum on which this world turns. And thus, the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought. and enterprises of great pith and moment. With this regard, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Shakespeare, Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. And thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied over with the pale cast of thought. What it's talking about is you resolve to do something and then you keep second guessing yourself. You decide, I will do this. Then say, but what about this? What about this? Hey, Baba, do it. Even a simple thing like talking to somebody. Okay, let's say you're at a party. Mahesh, you can remove this. Let's say that you're at a party. Okay, across the room, you see somebody who you would like to meet, who you would like to talk. You say, I should go and talk to that person. Then what happens? Then you start second guessing yourself. Oh, should I? Will this person like it if I speak? Am I behaving too bad? What will that person think of me? Am I doing agaupana? Agaupana, agaupana is a very is a Marathi word. Agaupana. Agaupana, I don't know what is it in Hindi. It means too brash or too forward, like throwing yourself out there, which is considered a bad thing. So you think so many thoughts. When you thought, let me go and say hello to this person, if you had gone, you would have said hello, you'd be in a conversation, but you won't do that. One thinking something. Arey Baba, just saying hello to somebody, you don't have to think so much for it. And all that thinking leads to what? Finally, no action. So therefore, the native hue of resolution is sicklied over with the pale cast of thought. The native hue of resolution means what is a resolution? In its natural color, you just do whatever you decide. But it's sicklied over. But there's a sick covering put over it of unnecessary and overthinking. Why does he say that? Because that was, in fact, Hamlet's problem in life. He couldn't decide and execute. He would go on and on thinking, to be or not to be. That is the question. That was his whole life. Karu ki nahi karu? Karu ki nahi? Arey baba, kuch bhi karo, but kuch to karo. Just not getting down to doing anything at all. Do it. Okay? And when we behave like this, enterprises of great pith and moment, substance, big thing, lose their current, lose their force, and action stops, and we reach failure. Lose the name of action. With this regard, their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. The world needs its thinkers and dreamers, but the system actually works because of the people who exert themselves. People say so many negative things about business people. It's a very interesting phenomenon that we say negative things about people who succeed. But the thing is, it is us who are at problem here. We are jealous of the people who succeed. The fact is, a person who acts does more service to the world than a person who does not act. Let us say a man wants to make a great name for himself in the scientific field, and he works very, very hard for it. Versus another man who, what shall I say, who is lackadaisical and negligent and least bothered. So this guy who worked so much for his name and fame actually made a breakthrough in his field. Then he served the world, no? Versus people who just have to do nothing and say, oh, he's made so much black money, he's done something. But you do something instead of talking about other people. Somebody had a question. Did
No,
any?
I was just wanting to ask that the previous instance that you gave with Hamlet as the example, that is a case of overthinking, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you were not able to act on your intention to act because of overthinking. And I think you touched upon this as a part of reflection also, that that overthinking can be a detriment to that.
Yes, yes. That is what Shakespeare shows. I mean, especially when you compare his characters, if you compare somebody like Othello and somebody like Hamlet. Hamlet's problem in life was he thought so much he did nothing. And Othello's problem, just the opposite, was that he never thought, he simply went and did it. So
Yeah,
if you
I think this is
compare
a good, this is a good metaphor for the two extremes.
some people are all out and do things much to the shock of everybody else. And some people think so much कि कुछ नहीं हो रहा है.
So Janki ji, that raises a very important question. How do you know that you have thought to the optimum level and no more? Because this is a classic case that if you're Othello, you're wrong. If you're Hamlet, you're wrong. So how do you get to that golden optimum point, or at least in the right range?
What shall I tell you? I can only answer as the Gita answers. You have to be sattvic.
Say that again.
You have to be sattvic. Unless that sattva in us is developed, and unless that the guna exists, the intellect's discrimination will not work. That is why they're so concerned with your character when it comes to knowledge. Otherwise it could be like an ad hominem fallacy, right? Why are you worried about my character? You just look at my knowledge. Am I a good lawyer? Am I a good doctor? Why are you bothered about my knowledge? It's not that we're denying that knowledge, but when the sattvic buddhi does not exist, that correct discrimination will not happen. People read the Ramayana and praise Ravana. And what they're saying is correct. So what will you say? Oh, he was a great Pandit, true. He was great Parakrami, true. They'll find all the virtues of Ravana. And they're right. Nobody's denying those virtues. Those virtues exist. Discrimination is an, I don't know what. No sattva, no discrimination. So there is no alternative to spiritual growth if you want proper discrimination. Action is the purpose of knowledge. Action is the verification of knowledge, right? So action is the purpose of knowledge means you gain knowledge so that you can choose an action problem. Then action is the verification of knowledge. When you actually do that thing, you find out whether what you thought was correct or false. One can have all the theories in the world, but unless they fit the ground realities, they are no good. All reasoning has its limitations. Things may sound very good and very true and still may not be so. How would one know? Finally, through action. Karke dekho bhaiya. You think it's such a good theory, then execute it and see what comes out of it. When we do what seems theoretically sound, we find whether it was sound or not. That it works out true in actual life is the final determiner of truth. People have so many theories on relationships, on child rearing, on parenting, on running a business, on running a country. Well, then do it and show us. What is the use of your theory? If your theory works in practice, then alone can your theory be considered correct. Thus, we may sometimes find that hard-headed business people may have a better understanding than their more articulate and philosophical counterparts. Have you ever noticed this? That hard-headed business people may have a better understanding than their more articulate and philosophical counterparts. This may be because the businessman has to show profit. At the end of the day, he has to make enough money to pay everybody and to, show profit. There is no other way to justify his actions. Sophist reasoning will not help here. See, what happens in action is no matter what action we choose and what is the outcome, we can always justify to ourselves that that is the right action. Hence, action is a great way of seeing whether it is true, especially an action which has a predetermined outcome, like I have to show profit. So sophist reasoning will not help here. I mean, like if we don't have to actually show something, right? Like for instance, all your theories about being efficient can easily be seen based on whether you're punctual. Because if you're efficient, you have to be punctual. So either you reached on time or you didn't reach on time. If you didn't reach on time, you're an inefficient person. Quite a simple deal, right? Can you all please excuse me for a moment? Sorry about that. All our theories are only as good as the actual execution. When you are forced to execute and show the result, that's when you know whether it's right or wrong. All bachelors telling us how to do parenting, they don't have to prove anything. The person who has a child, you will see the child whether the child came out properly or not. So in each thing, if you have a predetermined outcome, then that will really tell you whether your theory was correct or not. You must first determine what your outcome is and then see whether by executing that theory, that outcome took place. Is that making sense to you all? Yes. You remind me, Deepraj, of when we went deep sea diving. So when you go deep sea diving, then you have to do this to show that you're still alive and okay. So I feel you remind me of that. Then, I mean, we didn't go very deep sea, but they needed us to every now and then tell that, okay, still alive and still doing well. Okay, is this clear? Anybody has an issue up to this point?
Just one clarification. This action is it part of Karma Yoga, or is it something that at which, I mean, how is it different from Karma Yoga?
Correct action is Karma Yoga. But jnanis feel that they are absolved from having to do any action. So that is why we are saying that you have to do the action, because your theory is only as good as the outcome. For instance, you run a Facebook campaign. Okay, now having run everybody can have a theory on how a Facebook campaign should run. But the theory works only if then the people have actually arrived, no? It is so easy. See, when you're sending out something like an email, right? There is no preset outcome of that email. So you can say, I have sent a wonderful email. Okay, and who can deny it? But when you run a Facebook campaign, people are either in the hall or they are not in the hall. That time you are clear whether I got this right or I didn't get it right. So when we talk about being so smart or having such good theories or understanding something, then do it with a predetermined outcome. For instance, now we said that we want to put up Vedanta University, right? So it's a very simple deal. Either you put it up or you did not put it up. There are only two outcomes in this. But if we said, oh, somebody should put up a Vedanta University, now we can theorize on this forever. And who's to prove us right or wrong? We can have any theory in this world. It's very easy to have theories. That's why everybody has a theory. So, the point of knowledge is action. For all people who think I'm so knowledgeable, they have to actually execute that action. So don't look upon it as, oh, that is Karma Yoga. It's not that is Karma Yoga. This is one personality. The head thinks, the heart feels, the body acts. Was that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious why it was put after thoughtlessness. Action, I mean, we've reached Samdham Bonamo, as they call it. And then you have bring in action. So I'm just wondering, what was the idea?
The idea was that the purpose of the book is to show the panorama of knowledge. When you come to thoughtlessness, you've ended the panorama of knowledge. And people will be very happy and they will say, okay, we got the panorama of knowledge. And they'll all go home and go to bed. But there's no point in that kind of thing. That is why the emphasis on action. You're not going to do thoughtlessness at the moment, right? At the moment, what you're going to do, you're going to try your best to get your theories correct, get your actions correct. That is what you have to do.
Okay, thank you.
Bharat. Correct action is Karma Yoga. Yes, it is. Elaborate kindly. Correct action is Karma. You want an elaboration of the sentence correct action. Because elaborate kindly means otherwise I'm doing it unkindly. So I hope I'm doing it kindly. Correct action is Karma Yoga. Correct action is Karma Yoga. That is the definition, right? What is a perfect action in the Bhagavad Gita is given as Karma Yoga. Perfect action, you already studied, contains 6 parts. And that is the definition of Karma Yoga. So I'm not sure what you're asking because you already know this.
No, the doubt is in the second line or the last part of the question.
Oh, one may do for selfish reason and be technically correct. Okay, Bharat, this is a common, what should I say? Common issue, which we always have already discussed, and also which you know, is that okay? Can anyone tell me?
Any action
Knowledge is
better
doing.
than no action.
Sorry, both of us spoke together, so I didn't hear what you said.
Knowledge is doing.
Mhm. Knowledge is, you got the first two words right. What's the third one?
It becomes you. I mean, you.
Okay, but here,
Sat-
what you're saying is right. Knowledge is fill in the blank.
Sattva.
Okay, I mean, I'm not correct, but only in the I'm not incorrect, but in the context. Knowledge is relative. So when you're saying somebody is technically correct, this correct is relative. If you do a selfish action, okay, but a correct one, you're better than a person who does not do the correct action. But you're not as good as the person who does the right action for the right reason. For instance, those who are negligent about their health are worse than those who take care of their health, but are not as good as those who take care of their health so that they will be of service to the world. So a person who's taking care of his health because he wants to be healthy is better off than a person who is not taking care of his health. So he's technically correct in your words. But he's not as technically correct as a person who takes care of his body, knowing that this body is to be used for self-realization, which in real terms means for unselfish action.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so shall we continue? Deepak Sethi, you have a question?
Yeah, Janki, this was just a comment on Mahesh's point that why at the end we've come back to action. And I think you clarified that this is not chapter 11. Book ended at chapter 10, which was thoughtlessness. This is an epilogue, which is reminding us, because actually from chapter 1 onwards, you have your theme of the book is that knowledge is for action. Because you have to act, you need to have the right knowledge. So in that sense, the concept of action runs right through your book. This is only putting it in context, and therefore it is an epilogue per se.
Yes, correct. That's right. Right, so let's continue. Continue, where were we? All the theories have to work on the job. When action is done, a result will accrue. Action, I hope this is clear, right? When an action is done, some result will happen. Action is the point and thought is the force. Action is the point and thought is the force. It's imagine an arrow. The tip of the arrow is the action, and the force with which you release it, release the bow, that's your force. Without a point, the force is diffused. Can you imagine? That suppose with great force you pull at your bow, but that was not an arrow. It was I don't know what, it was some funny shaped object. It won't go very far. And having gone that far, it cannot pierce anything. Without a point, the force is diffused, meaningless. Results come from actions, not thoughts. No one has gone to jail for planning a murder unless it was acted upon in some way. No good has accrued to this world merely because people have good intention. Pride in one's intellectual prowess is futile. The pride must be in the right action performed. If you want to be proud, don't be proud of your theory. Be proud of the fact that you did the right thing. This is the quiet pride of knowing that the perfect action has been executed. Or as the Sanskrit Subhashitam says, Udyamena hi karyam siddhyanti na cha manorathai. Suptasya singhasya mukhe na pravishanti mrigaha. Udyamena, with effort, karyani siddhanti. Karyani actions are reach success with effort. Nacha manorathaihi, not by the man ka rath, घूम रहा है यहाँ वहां. सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य मुखे न प्रविशन्ति मृगाः. If the lion goes to sleep, the deer are not going to walk into his mouth. He has to put in effort, even though he has the capacity. He has to put in the effort to actually get the food. He can't say, I'm the lion, and lie down and sleep. He can't do that. I mean, unless he has lionesses doing his job for him. But otherwise, he will have to go and do it himself. Into the mouth of the sleeping lion, animals do not enter. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. I hope I'm seeing all of you all tomorrow at the book launch.